Hey guys, Kiwi here, and oh my god, where do I even start? Season 9, Episode 15. It was an amazing episode. I just finished watching it. I just finished, kind of collecting my thoughts, and I decided to drag myself over to the computer and record my initial thoughts just because this episode was just amazing from beginning to end, and it was extended as well. This episode was just everything that I wanted with the fair and the whisper border and just everything. We even got a bunch of stuff afterwards as well. It was just amazing.
We need to remember these friends, our family, died as heroes. That's the story that I want to tell you. That's the story that I want us all to remember.
I just loved this episode, as tragic as that is to say, but let's go ahead and start with the border. So, there were a bunch of minor characters, and I'll go over that later, maybe in a separate video, maybe later in this video, I'm not sure, but the three main people, and there's three, not two like there were in the comics, but, so Tara, Enid, and Henry, and they really got me with this one. I'm really... I don't even know what to, like, what are they gonna do with Lydia now, and what are they gonna, it's like they killed off Enid because they killed off Carl, and now they killed off Henry, and we're just kind of left with Lydia, and I guess I'll discuss that more because there's a sneak peek apparently with Carol and Daryl talking about her, but yeah, that's for one of my next videos. But so Henry, I guess I'm just gonna start with the big one, like, what the hell, Henry? I just can't believe it. Like, I thought it was gonna be Ezekiel. I really thought it was gonna be him, but then it cut back. He's at the movies, and you see how. Well, first off, you see how Ezekiel isn't there, and then they show how Henry isn't there, so it's really a toss-up, and then it cuts back because, the show does the same thing that the comics did, where it cuts to everyone at the kingdom wondering where the missing people are, and I just loved how they did that because you're just kind of, oh no, like, is it this person or that person, and then it cuts to who it actually was. And I just, when I saw Lydia run up to Ezekiel, I just knew who it was in my heart, and I didn't want to accept it. And then it cuts back, and Daryl tries running over to Carol and tries, averting her eyes, which I just loved that scene, and that was just so horrible. I feel so bad for her, She's finally opened up as the queen to the kingdom. She finally has accepted, another child into her life. She's adopted Henry, and over the past, 6+ years, she's been raising him as, her own, and this happens, and this is just so awful because the entire second half of season 9, she had no clue what was going on the whole time. Her and Ezekiel were just doing their own thing, setting up the fair, and then she finds this out, at the end of the last episode, and then they had to wait for Henry and everyone to arrive this episode, and she saw Henry for such a short time. I mean, Ezekiel too, let's not forget Ezekiel, but I just loved the acting with Carol, and I guess, Melissa McBride and Norman Reedus there, and I just can't believe that Henry's gone. Like, what the heck, he was actually a pretty goddamn decent Carl replacement, I was really skeptical the whole time, but in hindsight, he did pretty good, and I think he's gone too soon, but that's a whole part of the shock factor. And so let's move on to Enid a little bit. So this was a whole toss-up, was it going to be Eugene? Was it going to be Sadiq? Was it going to be Father Gabriel? Because in the comics, to make a long story short, or at least try to, in the comics, Rosita dated Eugene, but it wasn't really sexual. It was more, I don't even know what it was, but she cheated on him with Sadiq, and so she got pregnant, but Eugene decided that he wanted to raise the baby on his own, and so there was that whole thing, and then Rosita ends up getting the Pike, and that's tragic because she was pregnant and everything. And so I honestly thought that Rosita was done. I thought that they were going to do the exact same thing on the show, And especially because they did the same thing with the Negan lineup, right? They killed Glenn, and I mean, they killed Abraham on top of it, but they still killed Glenn, and I really thought they were going to do the same thing with Rosita, and I thought that they were going to do the same thing with Luke, like Luke from Magnus Group, because his counterpart in the comics actually died on the Pike. And correct me if I'm wrong, but did no one from Magnus Group die? Like, I don't think, because there's Connie and Kelly and there's Luke, they were all at the fair, and then I actually don't think we ever saw Magna show up at the hilltop, so they left that open for her to be one of the victims, but she wasn't. So I was really expecting someone from Magnus Group to be one of the victims, but the leader of the Highwaymen, he was a victim, so that's probably going to, you know, be something. All of them are going to be pissed off, they're going to want to do something. And then those two teenagers from the hilltop were killed. I don't know if that other guy, if he's gonna be the new Carl replacement. He's kind of a little brat. Like, I don't really like him. You know, I'd want more of Henry, but we're obviously not gonna get that, so goddamn. Well, yeah, so Enid, I guess they just killed her off because she didn't really serve much of a purpose. I hate to say it now, that because she really was a supporting character for Carl, and she had this relationship with Alden, and maybe that'll push him forward to want to do something. And I'm not sure how much longer Alden is going to be on the show for. I'm kind of confused as to why he's still alive, and Luke still. I really thought that they were going to die, but I'm glad. I was so happy when the camera cut back to the fair and Luke was still alive. And then, because at first I thought it was going to reveal that Luke was dead, and then it cuts and shows Luke, and I'm like, okay, so who's it going to be? And then I realized, you know, Alden's obviously there, and he's looking around, and I'm like, oh shit, like, Enid's actually dead. And then it cuts to her, and sure enough, she's gone, and that's awful. And I mean, I guess I'm kind of relieved that Rosita isn't dead either. I really thought that she was a goner. I was really, you know, disappointed that I wasn't going to see any more with her, but I'm really looking forward to seeing more Rosita and more Luke in season 10. That's really a relief. And same with Eugene and Sadiq and Father Gabriel. Like, they were really amping that all up. Like, they were really caught us going for that. They really had me going. So I don't know about you guys, but and then Tara. So Tara just kind of didn't get that much screen time. I mean, I guess she did get some screen time. She was here and there. She was always, you know, talking with Jesus, but I don't know. She just didn't really get that much significant screen time, I guess it feels like. And she, I don't know. I feel like she was just underused this season, and maybe that was the point, just so that we wouldn't really expect it, because, you know, usually characters get a lot of screen time right before they die. So I just can't believe that Tara is actually dead. I really thought that she was, like, I couldn't believe that she lived through All Out War and everything to do with that, and she just kind of had this invisible bubble of immunity around her ever since the Governor arc, and she's the one person from that whole arc that survived up until this point, but she's gone now. And yeah, so they really did a good job with this show. I don't really know if I want to go through the entire episode. There's so much to talk about. I do want to mention how just creepy it was having Alpha go into the fair and talk to everyone, and you can see all the victims kind of walking around her, and she's kind of eyeing people down. That was really intense too. I just had a horrible gut feeling that entire time when Ezekiel walked up to her, especially. That was just, oh my god, I was just so tense. That was just so awful. I'm so relieved that Ezekiel is alive, because, you know, they really have done so much more with his character than in the comics, and I still enjoyed him in the comics, but I'm just so glad that he's alive. And as far as this whole Carol versus Alpha thing goes, I mean, she's gonna have a vengeance in season 10. I cannot wait to see what Carol has in store for Alpha, and I want there to be, you know, a lot in store still for Alpha. I don't want her to, you know, hit the chopping block too soon either. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to, and we still have an entire episode. This felt like a season finale, and we still have another episode. And that's another thing too, they hinted Snow at the end. I heard rumors about Snow. I didn't know if that was actually going to be a thing or not, and I'm sure we'll discuss that more in our predictions for the finale. But yeah, man, I'm just really looking forward to this finale. And then season 10, it's just season 9 is a pretty good redemption for the show, considering everything it went through with season 7 and 8. And that's another thing, the fair was amazing, all the dialogue was natural, it felt like I was watching an actual TV show, it felt like I was there with all the conversations going on between Enid and Alden and Luke and just everything, man. Just, I loved seeing Eugene get dunked, and how Sadiq and Enid had sort of like a doctor's tent. They were teaching people if they wanted to be interested to be a doctor. Like, there's so much to go into with this episode, and it's just all solid. If you want to try and poke holes in it, be my guest. I mean, I'm open to everything, but you know, usually there's something glaring or something, you know, that kind of just bothers me, you know, with recent episodes of the show. Something that's either unrealistic or illogical, or, you know, something that seems forced. But I just think that they did this episode beautifully. Like, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the show in general. Like, it's definitely not my favorite episode, but it is a contender. Like, I just have just such a positive initial reaction to this episode, I guess I have to say. And so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off here before I just start rambling on for too long. But I want you guys to let me know what you thought of all of this down below, especially the border and everything involving that, but also the fair and just episode 915 in general. What'd you think about the opening to it and the fair? What'd you think about the whole Whisper ambush and Alpha infiltrating the fair, and then the whole anticipation for the border and the mega herd too? I didn't even mention the mega herd at all. Like, have I even mentioned the mega herd yet this video, where Alpha goes and shows Daryl the herd just like Rick and Alpha in the comics? Like, that was an awesome moment too, and there was so much solid comic book dialogue. Like, oh my god. Okay, so yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the episode from start to finish, and I guess I'll probably do a follow-up video, and we'll just go ahead and discuss the entire episode and just really go in depth and break it down and just do a full recap. So with that being said, I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, or even subscribe for more Walking Dead content in the near future. Check out my Patreon, follow me on Twitter, link to both of those in the description. I try to stay active on both of them, and it acts as sort of a behind the scenes of sorts, and I'm always posting everything I can involving the Walking Dead universe. I'm sure there's going to be tons of interesting behind the scenes and promo images and probably articles about this. And so yeah, guys, as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.